Hey, Sean, it's been a strange year in the NFL in that road teams have had a lot of success this year, more than usual. Is home field advantage the same as it used to be, or is this an anomaly that road teams are winning more than they have in the past? What's the difference with this year, you think?
I think it's probably year to year, Sal. Honestly, it is nice to play at home. Overall, though, at the end of the day, you got to play well wherever you play, and I think that's the key. The takeaway for our team is that you got to play well wherever you play.
How would you describe internally, I guess, mood is the term I'd use, attitude, approach? I mean, coming off what happened here on Sunday, the mood of your team and the players.
Yeah, they're focused on this week. They're focused on our opponent this week like we do every week. They understand what we've got to get corrected, and then now we put our process in place to get it corrected and continue to move our team forward. That's what we do week to week. That's what we did after the New England game, into the Tennessee game so well, and then that's what we'll do this week.
Sorry, Becca. Whatever added emotion might exist. I'm just making a comparison. You know, you heard from the Eagles. They talked a lot about being embarrassed, angry, or whatever coming in here. Those emotions exist around the league, right? How do you channel that, whatever? You try and just maintain I mean, can that work in a negative way, I guess, is what I'm asking you.
Can the
added emotions, it sounds like you want them focused on the process. That's the word you use. But obviously emotions exist coming out of a loss like that. How do you try and channel those?
Well, they're human, right? We acknowledge that, number one, but we also know that it's a week-to-week league, and the longer you wait around, you're negative, you're this or that, you don't move forward. And in this league, if you don't move forward, it's going to linger. And so it's our job to move forward and address on Monday what we addressed, and then move forward and be mentally tough and physically tough, and that's how we do things around here.
What's the way you fix? What's the way you fix? One of the issues, obviously glaring out of that game, was run defense, and in the middle of a season, and these kinds of practices where you're opponent specific in so many ways, but it also seems like there's some fundamental things there that probably need to be addressed. So how do you, especially with your background, how do you go about doing that when it comes to a run defense?
Yeah, reteach. And whether it's run defense or whatever it is as it relates to performance, is reteach the fundamentals. That's what I've been around for my career, and that's what we'll do, and we'll continue to do that, to reteach the fundamentals, because if we're not getting the fundamentals, then we've got to go back and reteach the fundamentals, and make sure it's clear what we expect with fundamentals and technique and then execution. So we go back. That's what we are. We're teachers. We go back and reteach to make sure there's understanding of what we're looking for and what we need.
Sean, with the trade deadline yesterday, how close were you guys, if at all, to making a move before the deadline yesterday?
Yeah, Brandon and I, had some conversations really over the last couple of weeks, and I know he and his staff do a good job looking into things. At the end of the day, I think you guys know we're going to do things that are in the best interest of this organization, short and long term, and I think at the end of the day, we didn't find something that would be responsible for us to do. I know a lot of teams go out there and just do things, and we're trying to do this thing the right way here, and so we want to be responsible with that as well.
I know you're not satisfied with your anything. You want to always strive to get better, but does standing pat at the deadline say anything about how you feel about your roster and its quality to go where you want?
Yeah, I think it says, Vic, that we are confident in the guys that we have, and we expect them to play well. And then, again, it also, to me, just what I shared also is, if there's not a responsible move for us to make, we're not going to make it, and that's what we're here to do. There's been way too many years of irresponsible decision making. Let's just put it that way.
There weren't any moves across the league, really. I guess, does that say something about the parity and where teams kind of think that even midway through the season, they still got a chance to make a push to get in, and they don't want to give up draft assets down the road because they're so valuable?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's probably, Josh, it's a great question. Everyone's a little, each situation is different from other situations. I just know for us and how we're trying to do it, some people are going after and and doing some things, and that's what they feel is right for them. We're going to do what we feel is right for us, and in this case, we felt like standing pat was the right move.
Essentially, you've had a philosophy of not, both you and Brandon have had a philosophy of not really taking shortcuts. Would that sum it up properly in some ways?
Yeah, I would say that, John. It's you've got to keep a strong eye on where you're trying to go and how you're trying to get there, and again, responsible decision making, doing what's best for this organization is in every that's part of every decision that Brandon and I make together.
Hey, Sean, offensively, obviously you're having a little bit of trouble scoring here, 24th in points. I was just wondering, in terms of the passing game, you have a number of targets to running backs this year. Is that a way that maybe, that short passing game, get the backs involved, especially Devin with his speed and quickness? Is that a way you could get the jump start with the passing game?
Yeah, the power of analytics, right?
Yeah,
10 years ago, I'm not sure that would have been a question, other than for coaches. But I recognize the question. I know where you're coming from. Yeah, I mean, we've got to score points. And you said it at the beginning of your question. We need to score points. And, it's hard to win 7-6 in this league, right? You guys know that. You've been around the game like I have. So we need to score points whatever way that is this week or next week. If it's involving other people in the plan, we need to do that. So at the end of the day, we've got to find ways to generate and sustain clean drives also, whether it's a negative play, a penalty, a turnover. We've got to get that out of our drives. Easier said than done, because that's what usually causes an offense to stub their toe, and that's what defense is trying to do, is they try and create negative plays, they try and take the ball away, and so we've got to find ways to sustain clean drives.
Yeah, one more on the offense. We're halfway through the year now. Is it too late in the year to say we've got 9 new offensive starters? At this point, do you feel like these guys should have been gelled by now, and it should be moving forward?
I mean, I don't think it's if it's used as an excuse. No, I think it's that's not part of our vocabulary. When we talk about continuity at this point in the year, it's managing expectations just internally, what we should expect at this point with 9 new starters, and then you build on that. And you've seen that with the more, and I've been around, places I've been with, just the more time you have on task, the more familiar you are with your job, and the more your partner is familiar with what you do and you're familiar with what he does. And so the longer we go together, the more guys, health-wise, year-to-year-wise that we have out there, the better we'll be, the better I expect us to be. And so that doesn't mean that I don't expect us to be good now. That's not even close to how we do things. So I want to see us to continue to grow every week. And so obviously, to your point, we've got to score points. And whether it's week 9 or week 1 or week 19, we've got to score points.
Coach, one of those guys is Tyler Croft. You had to kind of wait on, for injury circumstances. Now that you've had, it's a small sample size, granted, but you've had a couple of games to kind of watch him on tape in your offense. Do you feel like you have a better handle on maybe the ways that he can kind of help push this offense forward?
Yeah, I think we're getting there. I thought Tyler built on in week 2 what he did in week 1, and but going back to the continuity piece to some extent, it's really, hey, us as coaches knowing our players. The longer you're around one another, the easier it is to get to know that relationship and what this player does well versus where he's challenged, and whether it's Tyler in this case or anyone, those relationships and that in-depth knowledge of one another is important to making sure we're putting those players in those positions of strength.
Wednesday, Doug Peterson talked to us about how challenging it is to defend Josh Allen running, just because the extra guy.
Yeah.
And so just what do you think about balancing? You want to take advantage of this talent that most quarterbacks don't have that he does versus not exposing him too much to injury.
Yeah.
Every week,
this is going to be an every week conversation, right? I've been around it before with mobile quarterbacks. That's an ongoing conversation every week, is how much he's used in the game plan with designed runs, and then how much he's running overall. At the end of the day, we've got every week we try and win games, and then it comes into how he plays. And so he's got to play the position A, and then he also has to use the weapons that the good Lord above gave him.
Sean, you spent last week talking about how the Eagles were coming off, a prideful team coming off, 18 months off being a Super Bowl champion. Do you think, in some ways, whether for whatever reason your team had lapses, do you think in some ways your team and yourself might have learned on how to handle adversity in the way the Eagles responded?
I think there's teachers out there every week of how you respond to adversity, whether it's in pro sports or there's guys every day climbing mountains out there or doing whatever. Guy down the road here on Abbott Road going to work in the face of adversity when he's got things going on in his life or her life. I think there's lessons out there all the time that we can learn from. And so as it relates to football, John, there's teams every year that go through adversity that are able to keep their eyes on the target and fight through it and find a way through it, and that's what I expect we'll continue to do. There's going to be more adversity. That's what comes with losses. There's going to be more challenges, some smaller, some bigger than others, and so I expect us to continue to grow through those challenges and to push forward towards a vision.
Sean, Andre Roberts has spent a number of years, in different locations, like 1 year at different locations, including Washington. But what was your pitch to him this past offseason to get him to sign, not only come to Buffalo, but sign a multi-year deal?
Yeah, I mean, Brandon does a lot of the, negotiating end of things with the agents and whatnot. But just overall, I would say for all of the players out there that we've brought in, listen, we're going in the right direction, and I think this is a great place to live. It's a great place to work. If you're a player, why wouldn't you want to play in Buffalo, where you've got, to me, one of the best, if not the best fan base, most passionate fan base in the NFL? I think that sells itself.
Sean, how much did the situation in the conference, you're 2 games ahead for the last wild card, make it harder to resist, the shortcuts John was talking about to make a run right now that you might not be ready for?
Yeah, that's the give and take, and that's what we have to go in and. It's where Brandon and I work well together, because if one of us is getting off track and, the other one can help, hey, let's get back to, reminding of us of our plan and how we said we would do it. So, you want to take that into every decision or every problem in order to get it solved the right way.
Sean, does it create more of a challenge this week, maybe not knowing what quarterback you're going to face?
Well, look, they certainly have an offense that does things, and we'll find out maybe. If we don't, we don't until game time. But we're gonna make sure that we're ready to go, and we've got some work to do on ourselves. And then we obviously look at the tape and we see what they want to do and how they want to do it. Been very impressed with, as I mentioned the other day, Sal, what Coach Callahan has done and the way he's going about it.
Sean, just to follow what Jerry's asking about, there was a lot of talk about the need for a primary receiver, right? And last week we had talked about the downfield passing game and some of the execution issues there. Looking at it, the receivers you have, it seems to me like they're getting open downfield in situations just for whatever reason. Josh can't get it there, it's an execution issue. Evaluate that based on the idea of the need for a primary receiver that's out there. Do you feel like you have the weapons you need on that?
Yeah, could be a 3-hour conversation here and just, going in depth. But just overall, we've had opportunities we haven't executed. We haven't hit those opportunities. So, at the end of the day, we've got to score points, and I have confidence in our guys that will continue to work on and figure out how to do that and evolve as an offense. That's what I want to see us do, quite honestly, here is evolve as an offense with the players we have, putting those players in good positions, those players executing with great fundamentals and technique and playing physical. That's really what I want to see.